breaking down the Vikings from the perspective of a former NFL General Manager of the Year. It's Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, presented by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
Welcome to Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday and Thursday during the Viking season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers and the 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via link from the Score North website. I'm Jeff Diamond, former Vikings GM, former Tennessee Titans president. Our producer is AJ Fredrickson, does a great job putting the show together, which is pretty easy after a 48-10 win. AJ, I didn't see that one coming. And I actually hate to admit it, but I actually picked the Bengals to win that game because I thought Jake Browning would be more familiar with his system compared to Carson Wentz. But Carson Wentz was clearly the best quarterback on the field, and Isaiah Rodgers was the best player on the field in the big Sunday win.
Well, yeah, first off, not to discount anything Carson Wentz has done in his career. Obviously, he at one point was viewed as potentially the decade-long guy for the Philadelphia Eagles, but a little shorter turnaround, somewhat newer system. Kevin O'Connell known to have a little more complex. Jake Browning has a track record with the Bengals. It looked like it was the opposite case, though. It looked like Carson Wentz was a little more simplified, stoic even in that KOC offense. And Jake Browning, like you said, it was Isaiah Rodgers running rampant with one of the best defensive performances we've seen in NFL history.
Yeah, exactly right. He actually set an NFL record with an interception return for a touchdown, a fumble return for a touchdown, and 2 forced fumbles in the same game. Never happened before in NFL history, much to the joy of the U.S. Bank Stadium crowd on Sunday. Vikings got a very important victory to move to 2-1. They also got a nice little bonus help from the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland, who upset the Packers, blocking Brandon McManus's 43-yard field goal and getting the ball in position with one completion by Joe Flacco. And all of a sudden, their kicker, I can't even pronounce his name, Andre somebody, kicked a 55-yarder to win it for the Brownies. And wow, that was a nice surprise for the Vikings. Find themselves tied for first place in the NFC North with the Packers at 2-1 heading, and the Detroit Lions can join them if they beat the Ravens in the Monday night game, which I don't think is going to happen in Baltimore.
That's the nice thing about tonight is even though the Bears do rebound in a big way with a huge win, impressive win, 4-touchdown day for Caleb Williams, I don't think many NFC North fans are too concerned about what they can do later down the road. So a Packers loss is big for the Vikings. And then later tonight, like you said, on Monday Night Football, going to Baltimore to face Lamar Jackson's Ravens, that's a tough test for Goff and the Lions.
Yeah, it definitely is. And we'll see how that turns out. They're coming off a big win over the Bears, but for the Vikings, really an important win. We know that. Now they hit overseas for 2 games against the Steelers, who got a win over the Patriots on Sunday in Foxborough. Similar to the Vikings, forced 5 turnovers in that game, 4 fumble recoveries by Pittsburgh. These are the 2 teams that led the league last year in takeaways, 33 each. And here they sit 3 weeks in. The Steelers have 8 takeaways, Vikings have 7, and they both are right behind Jacksonville, who has 9. So it's going to be an interesting game. Reacquaint with Aaron Rodgers. Isaiah Rodgers meet Aaron Rodgers. Yes. But going back to Sunday, just really incredible performance by that Viking defense. And the guy at the forefront, Isaiah Rodgers, 6th-round pick of the Colts back in 2020, played for the Colts, played for the Eagles on their Super Bowl team.
Brian Flores, Super Bowl champion, Isaiah Rodgers.
Exactly right. Brian Flores targeted him in free agency as a guy he thought would fit his system. I've got to say,
I think it's working out well.
Yeah, I got to admit, I had my doubts about Isaiah Rodgers as a starting corner. He had never been a starting corner in the league. They don't re-sign Stephon Gilmore, and Shaq Griffin leaves, and all of a sudden you're counting on Rodgers and Jeff Okudah, who'd had a lot of injury problems. Well, they're both playing well. Okudah came back from his concussion, had a fumble recovery, has played well in coverage, and also had a big hit on a kickoff return. And Isaiah Rodgers just What an incredible performance by him. Let's go to
to think about it, where he's come from. This is a guy that in 2023 was suspended at one point for sports betting allegations against him and everything like that. So maybe that helped push some other teams' interest away. Now capitalize with that, a major addition. And he looks like a guy that can kind of fill a role for like a weaker DB core that they didn't see as much last season.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really interesting, AJ, when you think about the Vikings player acquisition process and the fact that we know the drafts have been a little bit spotty, to say the least. They are going to get Jordan Addison back this week, which is going to be a big help to the passing offense, but just haven't had the production necessarily in the draft they were hoping for. Donovan Jackson, their first round pick this year, they just found out today is going to have wrist surgery, but Kevin O'Connell says it's a short-term deal. He should be back probably after the bye week, but he's going to miss some time. So Blake Brandel will start against the Steelers on Sunday. And you look at the draft from last year, Dallas Turner had some nice plays yesterday with more pressure. He's coming along. J.J. McCarthy, we know the story there. That he's sitting back and watching Carson Wentz right now. And hopefully he's learning a few things from Carson Wentz, especially in terms of getting rid of the ball quicker, as Carson did, especially after taking those took 3 early sacks, but then started getting rid of the ball through some really nice passes, especially on that late first half drive, hits Jefferson, hits Hockenson. He's finding the tight ends. That's something I think JJ needs to do better. TJ Hockenson had only 4 catches for 27 yards the first 2 games, and he comes out 5 catches, 49 yards, a touchdown. Josh Oliver caught a touchdown pass. The 2 tight ends, both touchdowns from the passing game. So that's something that JJ has to improve on, finding those guys, finding Jefferson more. And
it helps when you have a run game too, Jeff. How about Jordan Mason on the ground?
It helps have a running game. And I'm also cutting JJ some slack because he didn't have Christian Darrisaw. And what a huge difference that made in the win over the Bengals, in the run game, in pass protection. He handled Trey Hendrickson, NFL sack leader last year, held him to 1 tackle, no pressure, no quarterback hits, no sacks. Great performance his first game back from his ACL. And now he can kind of ramp up, and he didn't even play a full game. Didn't have to play a full game.
Exactly.
So that's all good news. But let's go to a couple audio highlights, and then we're going to hear from some of the stars of the game, and Rodgers and Darrisaw, Carson Wentz, and the coach as they head into this big two-week stretch of overseas games before the bye week, before that gauntlet of tough games start in week 7 with the Philadelphia Eagles coming to town. But early in the game, and highlights courtesy of CBS, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, number 1 team on the call. I thought I heard something that Tony Romo had never called a Viking win.
No, that duo is like the Depression Boys when it comes to Minnesota sports.
They took care of that little jinx on Sunday, definitely. But here's the first quarter. Vikings talked about going into the game, and post-game, O'Connell and Carson Wentz talked about wanting to start faster. And that's something that they definitely accomplished in this game right off the jump street on a nice opening drive all the way down the field. A couple penalties by the Bengals helped the cause. And here's a touchdown pass from Wentz to Oliver.
Justin School, who had been starting at left tackle, also out with a concussion, inactive. Here is Wentz. He's got his man. It's Oliver with a touchdown. Carson Wentz comes back to the home area, to his boyhood team, and drives them right down the field for an opening touchdown.
And of all the tight ends to get the opening score, I don't think anybody expected blocking specialist Josh Oliver.
Well, he had some big catches last year. He's actually a pretty good receiving tight end, and tough to bring down too, by the way. And he's been battling an ankle injury. I said last week I thought he needed to play more to help the run game, to help chip on when the other left tackles were playing, to help the pass protection. And he did that yesterday, played many more snaps, and that I'm sure is going to ramp up. Later first quarter, maybe one of the plays of the year, we'll call it. Certainly a big play in this game. 6:25 left first quarter, Isaiah Rodgers, and with a pressure from Levi Drake Rodriguez and Ivan Pace, a tip ball by Harrison Smith, and let's not discount the importance of him coming back.
Great to have him back on the field.
Absolutely. And Darisaw and Andrew Van Ginkel only played 8 snaps in this game, had 2 sacks.
Yeah.
He's back from his concussion. They're going to get Ryan Kelly back next week, the center, and School, the left tackle, backup left tackle. They're getting healthier, other than losing Jackson, obviously, is a significant loss for a couple of weeks. He had a really good game. But here is Rodgers' interception and 87 yards back to the house.
It's a 2nd and 9. And Browning scanning, throwing, picked off, intercepted by Isaiah Rodgers, and he's racing down the sideline, and he will not be caught going the distance.
And I think what's important at that stage, it was a 7-0 game. The Bengals are at the Vikings 29. They're driving. Completely turns the game around significantly at that point. Instead of at least a 7-3, it's all of a sudden 14-0. Bengals are starting to reel, and then they really started to reel on this play in the second quarter. 2 minutes to go, and here's Isaiah Rodgers striking again.
1st and 10, 2 minutes to go. First half has been dominated by Minnesota, but Bengals can make things interesting. Plus, they get the third quarter kick. It's Fant. Lost the football. It's Rodgers again, off and running. Oh, my goodness. He runs it back for a second touchdown today.
Pretty amazing. And just the ball hawking ability, the punch out that obviously he's been taught. But a phenomenal play.
And that's become such a common thing, I feel like, for not just Rodgers in this Brian Flores defense, but a lot of defensive players in the league are taught this punching technique where it seems like any ball carrier has to be almost bread loaf holding it. And
they better be.
It's one of those things where it's just like every time there's a snap, a fumble is potentially on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And furthermore, he did it on the next series about 3 plays later against not only one of the best receivers in the game, Jamar Chase, stripped him, which set up another touchdown. And at this point, when he makes this first play on Fant, it's a 17-3 game. The Bengals are driving again, 2 minutes to go in the half. As Jim Nantz pointed out, if they score, it makes it interesting. All of a sudden, 24-3, another turnover, 31-3, another fumble. and then Will Reichert comes on and kicks a 62-yard franchise record field goal, 34-3 at the half. I think everybody was kind of in shock at that point. Certainly the Bengals were, and the Vikings were feeling really good about what was going on. But definitely a phenomenal first half. You score 17 points in the last 2 minutes of a half and turn the game into basically a blowout. Vikings stop the Bengals first drive of the third quarter and then have a 74-yard drive right down the field. Best drive of the day, 10 plays. Carson Wentz, very efficient on the drive, running the ball. The running game, as you mentioned, very instrumental in what happened in this game. And as I said, I think it's a reason that you have to say for J.J. McCarthy. Now, we know that, he needs to get the ball out quicker. We know he's a young quarterback, very talented, but it was holding the ball too long. Wentz got it out quicker, made some really good decisions, some good throws, held it early, took some sacks, but didn't turn it over, as JJ did against Atlanta. And I think JJ is going to be okay. And maybe this period of watching Wentz and what he does will help him in the final analysis. And they also know they don't have to go rush him back. Get that ankle fully healed and get him back. He's also got to prove he can stay healthy. Because now he's had the knee, he's had the ankle, he's missed time. And that's going to be really, really important for his future too. But
and for a guy whose game is so dependent on being that mobile as well, getting out of the pocket, being able to scramble, throw on the run, you can't risk bringing him back too soon. So it's nice to see that Carson Wentz can step in, steer the ship. I don't think, and to your point about Christian Darrisaw not being there for JJ's first 2 games, I don't think by any means Carson Wentz played well enough to have a conversation now, like, is he the starting quarterback moving forward? He is right now until JJ's healthy again.
Yeah, perhaps. You never know what happens. I remember back in 1998, Brad Johnson was our starting quarterback. Randall Cunningham comes in, didn't lose. And all of a sudden, Denny Green couldn't take him out of the lineup. But And
there's a
J.J.
point where
McCarthy's 22 years old. He's going to have a long career ahead of him. I think he'll be back probably after the bye. But hey, if Wentz wins all three of these games and they're going to face the Eagles coming out of that bye,
that's a tough first game back.
Yeah, it's a tough first game back. So we'll see how it all plays out. One game at a time. They got to beat Pittsburgh,
yes,
which is not going to be easy this week for sure. But on that third quarter drive, Jordan Mason, we talked about 116-yard day. And I think one of the interesting things, as I started to talk about the free agent signings that the organization has had, we know about the big money signings, Van Ginkel last year, Jonathan Grenard last year, and this year, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, Will Fries, and Ryan Kelly on the offensive line. But some of these more moderate free agent signings have turned out to be fantastic. Blake Cashman last year was one. Sam Darnold was one last year. Aaron Jones.
Yeah. And
now this year, you've got Isaiah Rodgers, 2 years, $15 million. Looks like a bargain right now.
Absolutely.
And I had my doubts, but I'm becoming a believer very quickly. You think about Carson Wentz, $1.4 million plus incentives. I'm sure he's got some big incentives in that contract too. But these are guys that are the not the highest price guys that are making an impact on this team. And Jordan Mason, 2 years, $12 million. The 49ers thought they couldn't afford him with their cap. Great acquisition by GM Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa and Kevin O'Connell to bring him in. He's a tough guy to bring down, a really good back, and he paid dividends yesterday. Here was his touchdown run.
He lines up on the left side. Thielen's right off of him. First and goal. Give Mason in for a second touchdown.
And just to show how instrumental he and Darisaw was, 11 rushes to that left side of the line of scrimmage, Jeff. 86 yards of his day came from just running to the left. And that's set up by that partnership, establishing the ground game that then, in part, to your point, opened up things offensively for Carson Wentz in the air because they have to respect the run game. So it's this kind of tug of war. Are you going to make them commit? Are you going to make them not? And then you're going to punish them either way.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll face tougher defenses than the Bengals down the road. But let's not forget, the Bengals were 2-0 coming in. Yes. So they were not a slouch team, and they just got steamrolled by all those turnovers. Turned the game, certainly, and quality play from the offense too, and on special teams. So before we hear from the coach and a couple of players, let's talk about our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers. GMC trucks weren't built overnight. Like every American achievement, they are a result of dedication to mastering the art of design and the science of engineering to building upon prior knowledge year after year, decade after decade. GMC, over 100 years, dedicated to the art of engineering and the ambition to always move this country forward. We are professional grade. Well-qualified buyers get 0% APR on 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 crew cab models with a 5.3-liter engine with an average finance savings of $4,322 plus $1,500 bonus cash. That's a total value over $5,800 plus no monthly payments until next year. See your Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealer today. Length of contract limited, deferred monthly payments for 120 days. Must finance with GM Financial. Down payment required at signing if applicable. Finance charges accrue from date of financing. Some customers will not qualify. Savings based on bank rate of 5.64%. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 9/30/25. I always love these locker room scenes after the victories for the Vikings, and it was fun to see Kevin O'Connell. He was very excited post-game in that Viking locker room, giving out game balls, and there were several game balls given out in this game even before we got to this little clip where he's talking about Carson Wentz and Will Reichard and Isaiah Rodgers.
It was a battle with two guys that weren't necessarily the starting quarterbacks to start the season. This guy seemed like he was ready to just come in, play point guard, drive the show, and carry us all day. Give it up for Carson Wentz. And you know when you show up to the stadium, and I wonder if he thought to himself this morning, by the end of the day, I'm going to have the Vikings' career-long field goal. All right, I wonder if he thought that. And knowing this guy as well as I do, I bet that's exactly what he freaking thought. Right? Exactly what he thought. Will the thrill 62-yard field goal. one, I don't know if I've seen a performance like it. All right? I said yesterday, all right, the number one thing was our leaders would lead the way. All right, and I felt that all over our football team. Captains, the 28 guys that receive votes, this guy's one of them. And every single play out there, it's rare for you to feel like a defensive player, all right, especially in the secondary, is about to change the game again and again and again. What an unbelievable performance today. I can't say enough, man. So proud you're here. This is why we brought you here. Isaiah. It was a battle with
Very excited locker room. Vikings 2-1, tied with the Packers for first place in the NFC North. We'll see what happens with the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Rodgers talking post-game about his amazing day.
That's crazy. I was shocked when I seen it on the big screen, but you know, that's all credit to the scout team throughout the week. They just prepared me throughout the entire week, just focusing on my cues and, you know, just going into this week so I don't have to feel any type of discomfort or anything like that. So I just was very comfortable going into the game.
I know Ben had to just take us through that thing, but when everyone was blocking for you running down the field 87 yards, take us through that. What did that feel like?
I just wanted to go get in the end zone and just hearing the crowd just get louder and louder the closer I got. And looking at the jumbotron, just trying to see who's chasing me and things like that. So just trying to get in the end zone.
What's the emotion when you cross the goal line for the second time?
Trying to go get another one. I was saying after the first one, you know, I promised my coach I was going to bring him the ball this week, and I told him I kept the first one. And I went back to him, I said, my bad, I'll bring you another one, and went and got the second one, so I just told him I'd try to go get another one. But
love that.
Durante Jones, he's talking about the secondary coach, who's done a great job along with Brian Flores in that defense. And concerns about the secondary so far, doing okay. We'll see, though. They're going to face Aaron Rodgers this week, and that'll be a good test for them, too. And
he's had a pretty good start to the season.
Yes, definitely true. And he has. And although even he said post-game that he wasn't happy with his performance in the offense for the Steelers, who had so many opportunities with all the turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And their run defense has been shaky. So I'm sure the Vikings will try to exploit that over in Dublin, Ireland this week.
Yes.
Early start, people. Got to get up for an 8:30 game.
Going to wake up with a pint of Guinness or something, Jeff? Or what's the plan?
Exactly right. So Christian Darrisaw, we talked about, just a big difference he made when he came into the game, and they're going to kind of watch his snap count. It was interesting to talk post game that feels like he's a month ahead of his schedule. It was supposed to be a year, and it's been 11 months. But he's a Pro Bowl caliber tackle, really important guy. And this week, he and Brian O'Neill are going to have a big test. T.J. Watt of the Steelers, one of the premier pass rushers in the NFL, and that Steeler defense. So, but Christian Darrisaw talking about his return to the lineup.
It's a real feeling. Like I was telling them earlier, 332 days since my last game, and just being able to go out there and play against the rushers that I was playing against Trey, I got a lot of respect for him, man. He's one of the best in the game. But just to go out there and get that result that we had as a team, it felt amazing.
But individually, I mean, Trey was a non-factor today because of you.
I mean, it's just the way KO drew up them plays, and yeah, it was a great team.
And the way he ran today to open it up for you guys.
Man, I remember him last year coming here, playing against him, just watching him, just the way he runs hard, and we just got to give him space, and that happened today, and hopefully we can keep doing it.
If you can run the ball and stop the run, you can have a lot of success in the NFL.
It's a pretty good combo.
It is a good combo, and then stop the pass and pass the ball. But the Vikings did a great job in run D yesterday. They held Chase Brown, the Bengals starting back, to 3 yards on 10 carries. That's pretty. Now, the Bengals came in with the worst rushing offense in the league, and obviously missed Joe Burrow. We know that. But even still, I don't think Joe Burrow was getting it done yesterday either.
No.
Against the Vikings with the way things were rolling. Carson Wentz, we talked about. I saw an interesting stat. Next Gen Stats was talking about Wentz threw in under 2.5 seconds on 60% of his pass attempts on Sunday, and completed 9 of those 12 passes for 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. McCarthy attempted a quick pass on only 17% of his passes in the first 2 weeks. That's something that young JJ has to learn from watching Carson Wentz. And I think the coach, Kevin O'Connell, called more quick stuff.
Yes.
And he needed to do that for JJ in the first 2 weeks. That didn't really happen.
Yeah.
And so I think Kevin, I'm sure, has learned too, call more quick stuff, especially if you're going against a tough defense and if the offensive line is banged up, has injuries, but if they can get healthy, that would be a big thing. Unfortunate that they have to lose Donovan Jackson. Had a really good game yesterday. You mentioned the left side of the offensive line. He was a big part of that with Darisaw, opening holes for not only Jordan Mason, but Xavier Scott ran hard too and looked really good, the young back. So that was good stuff too. Carson Wentz talking after the game about the emotion of playing it at US Bank Stadium for the Vikings, the team he rooted for as a kid.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of emotions I had to channel, running out there. It's been a while since getting a chance to do this, but then obviously being in the purple and gold means a little extra something to me personally. So, I definitely had a lot of emotions, but was able to channel them to the best of my ability, go out there and have a lot of fun with those guys. And that's what it was. It was a ton of fun. Also a ton of fun watching the defense play like that. Always helps. I think it was 5 turnovers or whatever. So that definitely made it a little easier for the whole squad. But it was all I can say is I had a blast out there.
How important was it for you to set the tone early on that first drive and kind of do what you did?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was big for me personally, but big for this team. I think that's something that we've been maybe lacking a little bit. So it's something we've talked about is starting fast, and finding our identity in a game quickly. And I thought the guys, really the O-line kind of set that tone right away, both with the run game. I mean, we were JP wasn't getting hit till he was 10 yards downfield, it felt like early on. And so just with that, but then protecting me early in that drive, it was fun to go out there and just go right down the field like that and set the tone early and then kind of let our defense dig in.
Kevin O'Connell talked post-game and mentioned this is the feeling they want to chase. This is the kind of performance they want to have. They want to bottle it. It's hard to do it for 17 games, especially when you're going to face some tougher opponents down the road here very soon. And the Steelers are no slouch. They're 2-1. They're tied for their division lead with Cincinnati at 2-1. So it'll be a big game in Dublin this Sunday. And then they got the Browns, who are feeling better about themselves after knocking off the Packers. Browns, a top defensive team.
Yeah, that defense is no joke.
Yeah, shaky on offense, but it's not going to be an easy 2-week stretch. But I think these are 2 games they need to win when you look at what's ahead. Let's hear from our great sponsor, again, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers, before we look ahead or look back at some of the big games from yesterday.
GMC trucks weren't built overnight. Like every American achievement, they are a result of dedication. A dedication to mastering the art of design and the science of engineering. To building upon prior knowledge, year after year, decade after decade. GMC, over 100 years dedicated to the art of engineering and the ambition to always move this country forward. We are professional grade. Well-qualified buyers get 0% APR on 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 Crew Cab models with a 5.3-liter engine with an average finance savings of $4,322 plus $1,500 bonus cash. That's a total value over $5,800 plus no monthly payments until next year. See your local GMC dealer today. Length of contract limited. Deferred monthly payments for 120 days. Excludes residents of Pennsylvania. Must finance with GM Financial. Down payment required at signing if applicable. Finance charges accrue from data financing. Some customers will not qualify. Savings based on bank rate of 5.64%. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 9/30/25.
One thing that's got to change, penalty is a big problem in Sunday's game. 13 for 105 yards, 5 false starts on offense when you're at home. That can't happen.
No.
Several other pre-snap penalties. O'Connell said post-game, an area they definitely want to focus on and improve. And as we said, around the league, some really interesting games. It was block kick day.
Yeah.
The Browns went on a blocked field goal and then a big field goal against the Packers. And in Philadelphia, the Rams looked like they were lining up for the winning field goal. Whoops. Block kick. Jordan Davis rumbling about 350 pounds down the field for a touchdown. And the Eagles beat the Rams 33-26. Daniel Jones having a big start to his year for Indy. Caleb Williams, 4 touchdown passes as the Bears trounce the Cowboys. I picked that one.
Yeah?
I did.
Oh, I mean, I believe you. You know your stuff.
I actually did. unfortunately picked the Bengals too, but I'll claim one good pick.
That's okay.
From Sunday. And the Steelers beat the Patriots, as we mentioned before. So we will be back on Thursday to preview Vikings and Steelers in Dublin, Ireland. And this has been Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday and Thursday during the Viking season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers and the 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via link from the Score North website. This is Jeff Diamond with AJ Fredrickson. Everybody have a great week, and we will talk to you on Thursday.